friends, come on in, grab your coffee and your Bible, and let's sit together as we start the book of Proverbs for the month of March in our celebration of faith journey. Now, after walking through Exodus and seeing God deliver and set his people apart, Proverbs feels like practical everyday wisdom straight from the heart of God. But before we start, there's a couple of things we need to know about the book of Proverbs. The author is Solomon, King David's son. He wrote most of the book during his reign around 970 to 931 BC. The main theme is wisdom, real godly wisdom, and it starts with the fear of the Lord. Proverbs is all about living a responsible, wise life that honors God and blesses others. The book was written primarily for the youth and people who are gullible, those who need guidance before they make a big mistake. Solomon wrote Psalms 72 and 127, much of Proverbs, Song of Songs, and Ecclesiastes. The first 9 chapters are like a father giving advice to his son. Warnings, encouragement, and clear steps to choose wisdom over foolishness. So even though the target audience is young people and those who are easily influenced, anyone who reads Proverbs will benefit from it if they read it with an open heart. It shows us the source, the benefits, and the value of wisdom. Chapters 10 through 24 are mostly short couplets, the classic Proverbs, covering a very huge variety of topics: money, speech, work, relationships, anger, humility, pride, and more. They give practical wisdom for godly living at every level of life. The Bible names 12 people known for wisdom: Joseph, Moses, Bezalel, Joshua, David, Abigail, Solomon, Daniel, the astrologers in Daniel's time, Christ, Stephen, and Paul. A mouthful. Proverbs tells us what wise people are like and what they gain. Wise people are kind, they are loyal, they trust in the Lord, they put God first, they turn away from evil, they know right from wrong, they listen and they learn, they do what is right, they discover knowledge and discernment, they hate what God hates, and they fear and respect God. They give sound advice, they practice common sense, they love correction, they stay teachable, and they know God. The benefits of wisdom are huge: a long life, favor with God, a reputation for good judgment, success, health, vitality, riches, honor, pleasure, peace, protection, justice, righteousness, life, God's approval, constant learning and understanding. And some of these aren't always happening in real life. Effective living starts with God's wisdom, respecting who He is, applying His morals and practical values by trusting Him and His Word, and letting His Word speak to us personally, obeying it and acting on His direction every single day. The result is effective living. Now, we experience what God does with our obedience when we do all those things. Proverbs lists 14 things and actions that God hates. He hates violence, haughtiness, scheming, lying, murder, wrongdoing, false witnessing, stirring up conflict, the sacrifice of the wicked, the way of the wicked, evil plans, pride, and injustice. The couplets in Proverbs are built in 3 main ways: contrasting 2 statements, for example, wise versus foolish, comparing 2 statements, or complementing each other. So understanding this will help us understand Proverbs and apply it practically every single day. Proverbs gives practical advice on stewarding finances. Be generous in giving. Put people's needs before profit. Be careful about co-signing for others. Don't accept bribes. Help the poor. Save for the future. And be cautious about borrowing money. Proverbs says more about students than it does about teachers. There's nothing better than learning to be wise. When we refuse to learn wisdom, we become foolish and we fail. Now, that sounds like common sense, right? But looking around the world today, it's it seems like fewer people seem to desire real wisdom. Wise learners accept instruction. They love discipline. They listen to advice. They accept their parents' discipline. They know the pathway to life. They will be honored and they will find profit in constructive criticism. However, on the other hand, fools ignore instruction. They hate correction. They think they don't need advice. They think they know everything. They mock their parents. They go astray. They end in poverty and disgrace and refuse criticism. Proverbs describes God's character. He's aware of everything. He knows that people's hearts. He controls all things. He is a place of safety. He rescues good people from danger. He condemns the wicked. He hears and delights in our prayers. He loves those who obey him. He cares for the poor and the needy. He tests and purifies hearts and detests evil. So we should respond with fear and reverence and obey God. We should do what is right and just and trust in him. Humility and pride are two major themes, and we can all work on that. Humility leads to wisdom and honor. It takes advice, ends in honor, and brings honor. Pride leads to defeat, disgrace, conflict, punishment, destruction, and in humiliation. Wisdom leads to two big fruits: success and a good reputation. Qualities of success and a good reputation are things like godliness and righteous living, hating falsehood, committing all we do to the Lord, thinking before we speak, valuing wisdom and understanding, being willing to confess and turn away from sin. Foolishness leads to destruction, a bad reputation, wickedness, pride, hatred, self-praise, and concealing sin. Proverbs addresses 4 common speech patterns. Our words affect us and others around us. So no, we cannot create things or situations with our words. James 3 verse 6 through 8 reminds us the tongue is a fire and hard to tame, but our speech must be controlled by thinking before we speak. We should know when to speak and when to stay silent. Our words should encourage and build others up, not tear them down. They should never be used for gossip, slander, or twist truth. Avoid lies, curses, or hurtful words. Proverbs is serious about diligence and laziness, and we should be willing to work hard, serve God, and do our best for him, not for riches or for fame. Colossians 3:23 says, "Whatever we do, work at it with all our heart as working for the Lord." Proverbs highlights qualities of a good leader. A good leader works hard, honors honesty, listens before answering, is open to new ideas, listens to both sides of a story, stands up under pressure, and stays humble. Where, on the other hand, poor leadership is dangerous. It hurts people. It has wicked advisors. It seeks people's praise and crumbles under pressure. Proverbs is full of practical, life-changing wisdom. It shows us how to live wisely, to honor God, and to bless others. So let's read this together with open hearts and let's apply it every single day. Thank you for joining me in this introduction to Proverbs. I hope it stirred your heart to pursue wisdom or reminded you of God's practical guidance. So would you please share this video with a friend and invite them to read the book of Proverbs with us. God willing, I'll see you tomorrow as we start walking through Proverbs day by day. And until then, keep seeking wisdom from the Lord. He gives it generously. And remember, you are deeply, deeply loved. Shalom, shalom.